everyone, it's Alice, and today it is time for another book haul. So I got a bunch of new books in the past month, and I think we're gonna start with the nonfiction today. First up, we have got 7.5 Lessons About the Brain by Lisa Feldman Barrett, and this is a science book about the brain. I love reading these types of shorter science books, and I think that the brain is really interesting. It's kind of mysterious and fascinating, and I'm really excited to read this and learn more about it because brains are cool, you know? The second book that I got is kind of funny to me because I was talking to one of my best friends and I was like, I just ordered this book. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to read it. I think it's gonna be so fun and exciting. And she was like, oh, cool. What is it about? Well, it's about eels. It's just a book about eels. It's called The Gospel of Eels by Patrick Swenson. So apparently, eels, specifically the European eel, is a very strange creature. We really don't know a lot about it. We don't know how they reproduce, really. We don't know why they go through these different stages where they morph. We don't know why they are born and die in the same area and they're also disappearing, and we don't know why that's happening. And I just thought it sounded really intriguing and interesting, so yeah, book about eels. This is the level of my coolness. Take it or leave it. Moving on to fiction, we have got a beautiful middle grade book called The Garden of Lost Secrets by A.M. Howell. And this is historical fiction. It's set in 1916, I believe. And we meet this young girl who is sent to live with her aunt and uncle. And at this estate, she discovers all of these secret things, like a locked room, and there's this boy who appears in the garden but only at night. And this kind of gives me the Secret Garden vibes, so I thought this could be a fun little thing to read. Next, we have got another absolutely beautiful book, and it is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This is historical fiction. It's set in Dublin in 1918, and I think we spend 3 days at this maternity ward at the height of the Great Flu. That's all I really know, and I've heard it's amazing. I've seen some really good reviews, and it sounds right up my alley. And I just gotta say, this cover might be one of my favorite covers ever. I think it's so well done. Another historical fiction that I got is The Confession by Jessie Burton. And this is set in the 1980s, I believe, but it's the kind of book that has two perspectives, one set in the 80s and one set in present day. And the story is about these two women who become friends, and one of the women is this famous novelist, and then I think someone goes missing or something, and the person in present day is trying to find out what happened to that person. I've read one other book by Burton. I read The Miniaturist several years ago now, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought it could be fun to read some more of her work. I also gotta say, I really like the cover of this one as well, and I love that it opens up like this. It's just really cool. Then we have got even more historical fiction with 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes, and I'm really excited that I finally got around to getting this book. I've been meaning to read this ever since it was on the Women's Prize long list, and the story in here is it's like a retelling of the Trojan War, but from the perspective of a lot of the women that were involved in it, which I think sounds amazing. I've heard fantastic things about this, and a lot of you have actually recommended it to me, which is very exciting. The rest of the books that I got are mostly mystery, thrillery, crime type novels, which I seem to have acquired quite a lot of this month. The first one is the very wintry looking Disappearing Earth by Julia Phillips. And what drew me to this is that it's set in Russia, specifically in Siberia, which sounds amazing. And the story is about these two sisters who are abducted, and this rocks this little community, and they can't figure out what has happened, and I just think it sounds wonderful, and I'm expecting it to have some really good descriptions of the woods and the tundra and all of that, and I think it's gonna be great. Next, we have got The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce, and I got this book because I saw a really good review on Instagram and it sounded really good. It's set in the Swiss Alps, and it's about this group of people who come together at this hotel, and it seems like there's something off about this hotel, and then someone goes missing, and there's a storm, so they're stuck there, and I just think it sounds really good. I usually really enjoy mysteries like this, and I'm hoping it's gonna be really atmospheric Then I picked up The Captive by Deborah O'Connor, and I got this because it was on sale and I saw it when I was like perusing online, and it sounds so creepy. It's about this young girl or woman who lives in a cage, and she has like a bed and a chair and a desk, and that's it. And she gets like food through a hatch or something, and it just sounds like horrible but very intriguing. And I think there's someone else maybe either in the cage or around her, and she's very afraid of this person, and it just sounds very creepy and very intriguing. Up next, we have got The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. And I've read one other book by this author and I didn't really like it, and I didn't think to try any of her other books, but then I keep hearing all of these good things, and then I keep seeing her books everywhere, so I'm gonna give her another go. This sounds great. It's about this woman who doesn't really know who she is. She doesn't know the identity of her birth parents, but in the beginning of the book she finds out, and she also finds out that she has inherited this mansion in London. And she's really excited because her whole life is gonna change. But then she like gets there and there's clearly something off, and there have been other people waiting for her to come into her inheritance, and it seems like something has happened in this house and it's not good. Then I got a book by an author I haven't tried anything from before, but I've heard really good things, and it is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This is supposedly like a real page turner, and it's supposed to be quite atmospheric, which I'm into, and it's set in the Scottish Highlands, and it's about this group of friends who come together to celebrate New Year's, but then someone is murdered and they have to find out who in the group has done it, which is very exciting. And this kind of gives me the same vibes as The Sanatorium. Next, I got another book by Ruth Ware, who is kind of like a hit or miss author for me, but I also just can't stop reading her books. So I got The Death of Mrs. Westaway, and I have heard really good things about this. A lot of people say that this is their favorite by Ruth Ware, and I'm wondering if it's going to be better than The Turn of the Key, which is my favorite by this author. It sounds really good. It's about this woman who receives a letter saying that she has come into an inheritance, and she realizes that the letter isn't meant for her, it's meant for someone else. But she decides to try and go after this inheritance anyway, so she goes to this place to collect it, and she very, very quickly realizes that there's something wrong about this whole situation. Then I picked up a copy of Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson, and I just got this because I wanted to read something else by this author. I read The Kind Worth Killing and I really liked it, and this sounds very intriguing. It's about this couple who has just settled down in a new house, and it seems like they've come out of quite a disruptive and challenging period, and they've finally found some peace and quiet, but then they meet their neighbors, and that somehow disrupts that peace and quiet. And I think there's something about an unsolved murder, and I'm guessing maybe they're involved in it. Lastly, I got two books sent to me by the publishers, and the first one is The Hit List by Holly Seddon. And this is about a woman who has just lost her husband, and she's like going through his things, and she finds out that he has been searching the dark web. And she goes on there to try to find out what he has been searching for and looking at, and she finds her own name on a hit list. So she like delves into this like dark underworld, and she's trying to find out who her husband really was. Lastly, we have got a book in Norwegian, and it is Sjalusimannen og andre fortellinger by Jon Nesbø. I haven't read anything by this author in years, but I really want to like get back into his work because I used to read like everything that he came out with. And this is actually a short story collection, which is very exciting. And it seems like all of these stories have like a mystery element to them. This is like a completely new release. It hasn't been translated as far as I'm aware of, but the title translates to The Jealousy Man. Okay everyone, that was everything I had for you today, and I would love to know if you have read any of these books and what you thought, or if you have picked up any new books lately. As usual, links to my Patreon and other social media will be in the description if you're interested, and I will see you soon. Bye!